back here. You're with me, Liz, the US market launcher for Enjinstarter, and we're in our cabana here in Bali at CoinFest Asia. I'm with Shashwat Gupta, the founder and CEO of Altcoin Buzz, who also incidentally happens to be our first investor in Enjinstarter. Shas, it's so good to have you here with us.
So nice to talk to you, Liz, as always. And I think in this setting, this doesn't do justice. But like it's a beautiful day here in Bali, and like such an well-organized event. It's such a blast with all the things that are happening. Some of the projects here are super fascinating as well. And I think what Enjinstarter has done here is also pretty cool. Amazing times.
Yeah, Shas, so you've been in the space for such a long time, and with Altcoin Buzz, you've had the opportunity to see a myriad of projects. So what's been interesting to you lately, especially the developments in the space, crypto winter? Can you give some general overview?
Yeah, I think it's usually like in crypto, in everything we're going like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And it's these 2 steps back times which we have now, which are quite interesting in my opinion. Time to build, and actually like it's the best time to meet people and network and find out like what's happening. I think a lot of things which will happen in the next wave will be a much needed evolution of what we saw in the previous one. So like in the gaming side of things, we had this whole confusion with maybe like few tokens in the economies and what to do with the NFTs, and I think a lot of interesting ideas are now being built around that. Sort of like every time we see this, like in 2015 Ethereum era to 2018 Ethereum era, like the growth happened in a certain way, but because of lack of certain regulatory mechanisms, everybody was trading against ETH and fundraising in ETH, but then those got fixed, and now the stable coins became kind of more available, so people started raising in those stable coins. So this time around, like companies managed to save much more funds than they did, because when they raised in ETH, they kept the ETH and the value went down, then they didn't have funds to build anymore. But now like they had, but unfortunately we had companies that were giving 20% interest on the stable coins, and then they capitulated and then they lost money again. So like the cycle one way or the other does bring like take away the value if people aren't really smart about like keeping their funds secure with themselves to build. And a lot of down market is still to play out. I feel like there are still a lot of companies that are still not exposed as to the amount of problems that they're having financially, but that's the nature of the game. I feel if identified the right founders that are building still very strongly, I think the secondary market for crypto is looking very exciting at the moment.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you like what despite all the bad news, like what still excites you and what are you looking forward to?
I think blockchain gaming has always been exciting for me. The shape that it took with the whole play to earn side of things was interesting, but like literally it's not a scalable system, right? For a bit it is fine. Like play to not lose money is one way. Like for example, if you played a game in the Web 2 side of things, you had to spend to buy an item within the game, and then you get bored, because humans are literally meant to get bored of games. You won't be able to do anything with that item. It's money spent. But with the ownership of a digital asset on the blockchain, now you have a potential to sell it back, maybe at 25% loss, maybe at 25% gain, but also the ownership of this asset in your hands after the game is done with, it has a bit of a memory value as well, right? Like if you played games back in early 2000, right? And you have memories for them, but you could keep an asset which is there on the blockchain, which is transferable to other wallets, but you have that with you. I think there is a lot more value to these concepts, which are more stable, not as exciting in terms of financial growth, but in terms of getting new users in for the core fundamentals and not for making money. I think the technology itself is quite exciting in those aspects. Thirdly, I feel if game developers come up with a game and they want to come up with part 2. Earlier they had to like redo a lot of the marketing and outreach, but it's simple, giving utility to previous NFT coin holders, etc. into the new game, which allows you to have movement of users in a big quantity to the next game. And even if you fundraised in your first game, didn't do too well, and you want to come up with a new one, you can now move your community to a new one and say, hey, like, you don't have to spend more money, I'm giving you another chance, hence saving reputation for game developers. At the same time, the community becomes happy as well. So I think these 3 use cases will start making more sense than just the play to earn side of things, which from the scalability perspective has a few issues. But the composability aspect of blockchain is fascinating. I would love to see more things with that.
Yeah, we also talked a bit about blockchain and art, because Shas is also an avid art collector and investor, and he's also a very well-known, would you say art NFT collector?
Just dipping my toes into the art side of things. I think the revolution that NFTs bring to the art side of things is massive. I think the layer of ownership, possession and transferability that blockchain adds on top of Web 2 changes a lot of things, especially when it comes to transfer of digital goods and ownership of digital goods, which didn't happen before. Because at the end of the day, retail were art watchers. Retail was never like, masses were never art investors. They would buy art to put it on their walls. They would buy art because they like to collect. But it was never intended to convert. A lot of art didn't convert itself into being an asset. But with blockchain, that changes, because now it's easy to see the growth and evolution of an artist. So again, right, like the provenance is super clear as well. So the art side, there is provenance, and also there is royalty for artists. So galleries used to take 50% of the money that used to go.
Only once, right?
Yeah, so no, galleries used to take 50%, and then for the next sale in the secondary market, artists got nothing. But now galleries get 0%, because artists get, like, whatever the Web3 galleries charge, somewhere between 5% or lower most of the times. But now on the secondary sale, the artist still can get 5 to 25%, depends on what they choose. And I think the strategies the artist will deploy within their, business side of things will also affect how much sales they have eventually. So I think this new asset class, which is the NFT art side of things, will have a lot bigger traction than a lot of things on the gaming side. See, where the revolution is that gamers have been playing against other gamers since the advent of the internet. They've been chatting with each other since the advent of the internet. Artists and collectors have never been doing that. Art was like, an artist would find a gallery 10 kilometers away, within the radius of 10 kilometers, and try to be there. And that gallery may or may not accept them. And then they would have an exhibition once in a while. But this all becomes like so accessible, so evolved.
The disruption is going to be much bigger. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so taking like a change in like the conversation, and then you've been our first investor in Enjinstarter and been part of our journey since the beginning. So could you share a bit about that, like that journey, as well as, maybe just share that journey to begin with, like how you started with us.
So I've always been a fan of Engine since I found out about it like in early 2018, and like we've been big like advocates for the ERC 1155 standard that Engine built for NFTs. We really believe in everything that they're doing, and we really support them with Infinity, and actually I'm quite excited to see the parachain standards they're working on from the Polkadot side of things with Infinity. A lot of exciting things have been happening, but Engine is the sort of company that only markets after they've built something, so they have their own way of going about things. And I think it will be really, really cool with what they do with the NFT side once these new standards are made public. So for them, it was important that their games have a launchpad, and I suggested to them that, like, I have this amazing bunch of people who I think would be good to connect with and see. And I reached out to Prakash and Alvin and asked them like, here, like, would you guys be keen on it? Because they've been in this space doing such good work in the past, and Prakash has been involved with so many projects. Alvin's been involved with so many projects, helping. Alvin's been like a tech help for us also at Altcoin Buzz to help us solve and understand a lot of background tech side of things. So getting them together to see if they can explore this opportunity was like something that came naturally. And the fact that it actually happened and played out, I feel like a bit of a puppet master, but it's kind of.
So it's thanks to you the Enjinstarter started.
I just did a meeting and everything else was done by the team. But I'm so excited that this is happening, and I'm kind of speaking with you and Prakash about what your next steps are, about things to happen. I see it being so exciting. Like, I'm so excited with what's to come with that side of things as well.
And like, so since that time until now, like, has Enjinstarter lived up to your expectations in terms of, you know, how we've grown and?
Yeah, so I think we've learned quite a bit about the market as well. We've realized that having a niche sort of like a marketplace for gaming is actually necessary, but then games need to have like a much bigger vision, and so do the investors, right? The big problem comes is you come up with a game idea very quickly and you try and launch it, and you try and build it really fast because the community is waiting for it. Then it doesn't do justice to the product itself. And while that seemed to be a trend that was going on for a while, we realized it wasn't sustainable.
Right.
So pivoting to slightly more long-term builders, slightly higher valuations, slightly smarter strategies with the game investment side of things, I feel is more important. And I kind of like the fact that for now we've taken a break, not just keep launching something in a market where maybe, like we said before, secondary market makes more sense to support founders who actually build stuff rather than new games which don't have a long-term vision. So I kind of think, sorry, can you cut that out in the edit? So I feel the growth of the gaming side will be really big, but even from an infra level, right?
Infra level, support level as well.
We're not ready there. Like, Ethereum doesn't work for gaming per se. The standards on Ethereum have very few malleability in them as well. I kind of spent some time with the CTO at Engine and figured out the new difference with the dynamic NFT side of things that they're building on the parachain, the kind of options they will have in the marketplace that they're building with NFT.io as well. I think we are very, very early in this game. So the fact that Enjinstarter continued what they're doing, is still growing the team, is still like marketing and reaching out to community building, and now down markets are the time you build the best relationships because you have like-minded people with the survivor instinct in them, right? Down market time, people who find it hard to be in an industry leave, right? And a lot of people, founders, are not able to survive this, right? But if you can, and you can get through this and understand what your next steps will be, and not to reveal anything, I'm pretty excited about the next steps of Enjinstarter, and hopefully things work out. So I think I'm super excited with what's to come. I think the market does what the market does. So like from that perspective, it doesn't bother. Like, we've been here long enough. We've seen the ups and downs of the market. What we invest is in like strong teams, and they can pivot and always fix.
And people.
Yeah,
for me, like, since joining Enjinstarter team and just like being surrounded with you and like Prakash and like everyone there, it's really for me about the people in the company. Like, everyone's been just amazing to work with, and such a strong, like, I don't know, just can-do attitude, and it's been one of the most fun experiences working in a team for me so far.
Yeah, what made you finally decide to take the plunge and join the...
Yeah, it was actually about the team. Like, for me, like, I knew Prakash, and like, I knew that like he was a great guy to begin with, and it isn't so much about what we're doing but who you work with, right? Because so much about creating and building something is the team and the day-to-day operational side. So that part really like motivated me, because once I met the team, I knew, hey, everyone here is like like really good people, but also like very interested in crypto, Web3, and was serious about building something that would last and not just doing something that was just, for, the name of it or to get famous or...
I mean, I think this is an industry where if you do the right things, which don't even have to be very complicated, you can make it. Like, it's not that tough. But you kind of left the Web2 space, which you were very prominent in, and taken this plunge to be in the Web3 side. Would be slightly nerve-wracking, especially in these market conditions. So for those who don't know, Liz has been the Singaporean of the Year 2018 for all the philanthropic work that she's done. And like a lot of people don't know like the amount of potential that started doing. So having you on board is really exciting for me, and that's why I stay more excited, because Prakash is able to get talent like this into the team, and I feel like this is the time a lot of companies are leaving. Like are letting go of people, and the fact that Enjinstarter is still hiring and still coming up with cool ideas.
I think it's really important and really a clear sign, like, we're very serious about building something. So it's been great. So it's like, I've enjoyed every step of the journey. So.
What are your concerns? Let's convert this interview into your interview.
What? My concerns. Actually, like, it's for me, like, more about, I think everything changes so fast. Like, there's always a lot of pivots, and right now there's no benchmark like what works. I mean, we know the fundamentals, because like, let's say Prakash, even myself, we're seasoned entrepreneurs. There are fundamentals that we apply that are important, that those still work. But in the Web3 space specifically, like we have certain things that work, but we don't know long term, and it's changing so fast as well all the time. So that part like keeps me on my toes a bit.
Yeah, being on your toes is part of an entrepreneur.
Fun,
like
right?
Here's the thing. I've been in this space full time since 2016. I still wake up every day with goosebumps, and it's not because I'm stressed out. It's just because I'm so excited with what's happening. But then, like at the end of the day, being an observer, a researcher, and running like a media organization, my life is slightly easier. So I've built my system so that I can survive the next 10 years.
Right, that's amazing. That's okay. So like that's something I wanted to talk about as well, like what you're building now at Altcoin Buzz.
So we've been surviving and just putting out interesting research stuff. Thank you. Stuff that we've been researching and all, from a fundamental perspective, from a technical analysis, price perspective.
A lot of deep research into
interviews and stuff. Actually, we tried the deep research part, but then we realized we don't really want to be the MBA of crypto. We just want to be the kindergarten of crypto. Like, we just want to bridge the gap between people wanting to get into crypto and them actually getting into it. Like, there's a very thin gap, and we want to build multiple projects on just that thin gap of things. And one thing that I've learned is that there are various niche. So how do you onboard somebody into crypto, right? You do that by making sure that they focus on being the stakeholder in that niche.
Right. They have to feel like they have ownership.
Not
ownership.
They're focusing their time on the niche that they're good for. For example, let's take Web2 for an example, right? You're a designer, but everybody thinks you're a web developer. So they're hiring you for web development, but you're like, no, I just want to design. But then, if there is no understanding that there is a difference between an Ethereum trader and a blockchain gamer, that problem persists, right? So a person who just wants to play the game because they love playing the game and building a community around it shouldn't be converted into an Ethereum trader.
Right.
Somebody who's an artist who just wants to make and sell art should not be converted into a crypto speculator.
Yeah.
And the problem comes is that everything in crypto for now, because the baseline is altcoins, everything is looked at from one singular perspective, that if you're into crypto, you're a trader.
Right.
Nobody is looking, like, from a web to the global world perspective. If you're into crypto, you buy and sell crypto. You're trading it or something like that.
That's true, yeah.
But that's not how it is. There will be gamers who just need to play games. They don't need to do anything. There will be people who are liquidity providers who provide liquidities on DeFi. They don't need to play games, right? There are people who just collect art. They don't need to buy Cardano, right? Like the thing is that what we're trying to build is really focusing tools and building stuff where if there is a gamer, they get all the information about a game. To find a simulation game, an action game, find out the quality of games, the reviews, etc. on the gaming side of things, without making them an investor into 5 different cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Right. So the next one would be the art, like how to analyze art, like how is the world looking at investing in the art side of things, how does Web3 change it? And if somebody wants to collect art, doesn't need to be a trader at the same time. So the point I'm saying is that so far all the tools that exist give people information on trading everything.
Yeah, but not specific to their interest and group, right?
Correct. So this is what we want to solve over the next 5 years, is really build specific niche products to target specific niche problems. Because here's the thing, there is no single website that tells about the regulation that exists in all countries, where you can buy coins, what coins are legal there. There is no database of Web3 accountants and lawyers as well.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to build for the legal and the regulation side of things. We're going to build something specifically for art, as to what are the types of art that exist here, which is Web3 centric, which is more Web2 but trying to be Web3, which is physical art but can be translated into Web3, what to do with it, what's the trend there.
Yeah.
Then in the gaming side, like building something which gives rating and reviews on games, on the gameplay, controls, you know, like storyline and graphics is so more important than how much you will earn, because that keeps fluctuating and nobody's playing games for fine. People earn games for making money, that's great, but it's not sustainable. We've seen this.
Long term. Wow, so what I understand is that like you're creating products that are solving the information gap for very niche, I mean for the developing segments of crypto profile. Because that's developing as well. People are changing, it's becoming more and more segmented, right? Rather than just in the beginning, you know, everyone was just buying and selling.
So if you want to know how to trade something, how to kind of make money by speculating in crypto, we already have Altcoin bars. But the next sister sort of brand we're launching is called Fungible with the J. So it will have fungible NFTs, fungible art, fungible gaming, fungible law, and we will divide all these segments to fulfill and just onboard people for niche categories. And I feel like everybody needs to have different purposes for it. Because if you're an art collector and you need to go to a gaming site to find art, you won't do it. It's like the UX UI will not suit you. Like there is a bit of a
different,
absolutely different,
like profile and
needs. But what we're doing now is putting everything together. So
when can we see that? When will you launch?
So we're going to be launching fungible games next month, hopefully with Enjinstarter during the F1 events. And fungible art side of things I'm still doing the research on. I will have something ready by the next 2 months. We're redoing the Altcoin Buzz website to make it more of an aggregation site rather than just our information site. So let's see, a lot of things in the pipeline.
So I was going to wrap up. So sounds like there's a lot of exciting things going to happen. So I'm very excited and I look forward to all these new projects. I think Shash has always been someone who is so insightful and ahead of the curve. So please do keep a lookout for the new Altcoin Buzz website. And where can we find the fungible games? Is there a website link?
Fungible with the J, FUNGIBLE .games. That will be the first venture we're launching. And you can follow us on Twitter. Altcoin Buzz IO is our Twitter handle. And thank you so much for having me here, Liz.
Thank you.
Like, what a fantastic venue, what an amazing place, and so nice to talk to you always.
I never had a formal chat, but thank you, and thanks for tuning in.